So here is Stephen Miller. He joined the White. It's going to be number five, please. He joined the White House briefing today as one of the senior administration officials, taking questions on various matters. And you'll recognize if you're a student of Miller, the the soothing sounds and stylings of Stephen Miller addressing the White House press corps. Play number five, please.
It's true that many of the people in this room for 4 years failed to cover the fact that Joe Biden was mentally incompetent and was not running the country. It is also true that many people in this room who have used this talking point that Elon is not elected fail to understand how government works. So I'm glad for the opportunity for a brief civics lesson. A president is elected by the whole American people. He's the only official in the entire government that is elected by the entire nation, right? Judges are appointed, members of Congress are elected at the district or state level, which is one man. And the Constitution, Article 2, has a clause known as the vesting clause, and it says the executive power shall be vested in a president, singular. The whole will of democracy is imbued into the elected president. That president then appoints staff to then impose that democratic will onto the government. The threat to democracy, indeed the existential threat to democracy, is the unelected bureaucracy of lifetime tenured civil servants who believe they answer to no one, who believe they can do whatever they want without consequence, who believe they can set their own agenda no matter what Americans vote for. So Americans vote for radical FBI reform, and FBI agents say they don't want to change. Or Americans vote for radical reform on our energy policies, but EPA bureaucrats say they don't want to change. Or Americans vote to end DEI, racist DEI policies, and lawyers in the Department of Justice say they don't want to change. What President Trump is doing is he is removing federal bureaucrats who are defying democracy by failing to implement his lawful orders, which are the will of the whole American people.
So I said it was soothing. Maybe that's not soothing for everybody. Stephen Miller is extremely powerful in this administration. I met him originally when he worked for Jeff Sessions, who was a senator from Alabama before he became Attorney General. Got to be Attorney General in part because he endorsed Trump early on, earlier, first senator to endorse Trump, maybe by a lot in 2015. And Stephen Miller was a relatively junior aide. And now he is so powerful in this administration. And you saw there Kevin Hassett, who's the head of the National Economic Council, Caroline Levitt, uh, they seemed, I'd say, maybe bemused by the Miller performance. But this is going to be a big challenge, and they're so busy in these news organizations now. There's so much going on that it's difficult for them to catch their breath, metaphorically and actually, and to kind of think through how should we cover this administration? How should we deal with a performance like Stephen Miller's? And they're tired and they're busy and they're distracted. And a lot of them have switched around to different news organizations. So they're still learning how to use the computer system. It's a mismatch. I got to say, press has a lot of power, but this is remains a mismatch. And I don't think it's good for America to have them be so overmatched. But they're partially paying a price for bias and for losing the focus on what their actual mission is. So, and as Stephen Miller pointed out in the top of that clip, they colluded with the previous administration, in covering up Joe Biden's loss of mental acuity, and that it just puts them on their back foot. It just does.